Hi everyone, it's Renee with Delaney Jane Cards. Welcome back to my channel. Yeah, you see that. It's the Anna Griffin Empress Machine. So I have some serious shoulder, hand, and arm issues going on. And although my Big Shot has been very good to me. Actually, this is the second one I've owned, but it's been very good to me, and I find it to be an amazing machine. It's really hard for me to die cut things. And since I do a lot of die cutting, it's been very difficult to create cards. I can run one thing through the machine and then I'm hurting for days. So I decided to bite the bullet and I did a little bit of research. Actually, did tons of research. And I came across this Anna Griffin machine and I thought I would give this one a try to see if it could maybe help resolve some of the issues that I'm having. So I thought I would share with you what came in my box, and we're going to go ahead and do some die cutting. I'll tell you what I really think of it. Spoiler alert, it does not do everything I wish it did. I have high hopes for a machine that is coming out in the future, but currently this is what I have. So I'm going through and showing you like all of the plates and the embossing mats and everything. They are marked really nice. You can see on the plates that like the A is that gold, the same gold as the handle. The B plate is, do we have a B plate? There's an A plate, a C plate. Oh, I think that's the magnetic mat is the B plate, right? Oh, let me look at it. It's right in front of me. So yeah, so there's like two clear plates, a magnetic mat, which has the grid on it, a embossing mat, which is like rubber, and a metal shim. And those were the bits and pieces that came with the machine. So I'm just following the sandwich. It gave me, just instructions for each, like how to emboss, how to die cut, all different things. So I'm just gonna go for it. Used a piece of wood grain cardstock here, so it's not regular flat cardstock, and I'm using the die that actually came with the machine. I ran it through once, and you see, the pad, the clear cutting pad is now, it's ruined. Not ruined. When you get your machine, no matter what machine it is, that first die cut that goes into the mat kind of like sinks in your heart a bit. But what I was pointing out here is the clear mat, the A plate that was underneath also had kind of an impression from the back of the die, which I'm not sure if that's going to show up on future projects or not. So we'll see. But I just ran another die through. This one is from, what is this one from? The Paper Rose? Yeah, Paper Rose. Love this die plate, or yeah, this cover plate. I did notice there was a couple of spots that it did not die cut all the way. And I've never had that issue with this die before. So I'm not sure if it was, a problem with the pressure in the mat or in the machine or what, but there were a few spots they die cut, but they're like trickier. So I did leave the part in where I was trying to like poke all of that out, so you can see that I did have a little bit more trouble with this die than the dies that come with the machine. Now I know that their dies are different thicknesses, and I probably could have used the metal shim when I ran this die through, but I wasn't sure. This was the very first time I'm playing with it. This was the second die I'd ever cut with it. So it was fine. And then I pulled out the small dies that came with the machine. These are super tiny, very intricate. And then I used a piece of watercolor cardstock because I wanted to see if cardstock made a difference. I used wood grain cardstock for the other ones, and now I'm going to go ahead and use some watercolor cardstock. And this is watercolor cardstock by Open Studio, which is Memory Box and Birch Press Designs. You can get that all. I can link that below if you are looking for that. This die cut beautifully. I'm not sure if it's because it was the die that came with the kit, or came with the machine, or if it was because I used a thicker cardstock. That watercolor paper is much thicker than traditional cardstock. I got beautiful color cuts. I will say, I didn't even know, I thought that was a beautiful until I popped it out and I realized it said birthday. There's me looking at it like, is it really say birthday? And then I was looking for the tittle for the eye, and I realized that it is actually all stuck together, so you don't have to chase that around your desk. You'll never lose it. And then there's like this little swirl. I think it's like a flight swirl for the butterfly. So those were the small dies that I cut with the watercolor paper. It was great. I did like that. It was kind of a push button machine. I just had to push run and it went through. But then I wanted to try a few more things. So again, I pulled out that watercolor paper. This is a snowflake die from Birch Press Designs. It's Frosty Flake, and I decided to just use the layer A. It's a gorgeous snowflake. I wanted to see how crisp and clean that would cut. You know, was it just that I used a thicker cardstock or the watercolor paper before, or does it have something to do with the type of die, the brand of die that I'm using? And this one die cut so beautifully. So I can't tell you if it was the combination of the watercolor paper and the pressure, or if it just was that that paper rose die is not nearly as thick as the other dies to apply enough pressure to cut the paper. I mean, I don't know the answer, but I thought I would play with it. So that, like I said, die cut, just gorgeous. So then I wanted to see the new dies that are out. They're slimline dies. They're long. There's mini slimline, these slimline dies. There's several companies that have large dies. This machine will not cut them. I mean, it can. I will show you how I made it work. I will say that this die this die cut did not turn out perfect. I mean, I could still use it on a card, and I probably will because I die cut it. But this machine is not made for the slimline dies. And honestly, I haven't done enough research to know if there are slimline plates that go with the Empress. I would say if there was, I would totally pick them up. Now here I'm going to do partial die cutting so that I can get this. I did notice that the die does not cut until it is at the back of the machine. So if you're trying to line something up, what you see come through the machine is where the cutting stops. So here, the part, the very bottom of what is cut was the part that was sticking out of the back of the machine. So anything that was inside the machine did not get cut. So if you're doing partial die cutting, that could be very beneficial to know. Now I didn't shift the paper. I just shifted the die so that I could cut the rest of it. And I will show you when I pop this out that it did shift slightly. I mean, true, this is probably not the best representation because this die has such intricate bits and pieces to it that, like, chain link fence looking background is super intricate. I think I point out right there where it had kind of shifted a little bit and it didn't, it wasn't perfect. Like I said, I could still use it. So these were the dies that I cut out the first time using the Empress. I was impressed. I did like that it had forward, it had reverse, so I could back that out and do partial die cutting. I don't like a few things about the machine. I don't like that there's no platform in the back of the machine. So once it feeds through my sandwich, it drops it to the desk unless I'm there to catch it. And as I said, I have arm and shoulder and hand issues. So that might not work out to be super beneficial for me. Other than that, and it not die cutting that slimline without a little bit of extra work, I think it's a good machine.